They don't tell you this when you're growing up, but one day you'll wake up and realize something is deeply wrong with the story you were told about love. Not because you're bitter, not because you're broken, but because your eyes have finally adjusted to the light, and what you now see is nothing like the dream you were sold. You were raised to believe that if you worked hard, treated women with respect, stayed loyal, stayed strong, stayed soft when needed, you'd earn love. That if you showed up with honesty and consistency, you'd be rewarded with someone who saw you, truly saw you, and chose to stay. But the truth that's slowly cracking through that fairy tale is much colder and far more common than anyone wants to admit. Let's talk about Alexander, a man like many others. Sharp, focused, ambitious, not a loser, not a drifter, not some fool who couldn't get it together. He had purpose, he had plans, and he met a woman who, for a time, felt like the missing piece. She was smart, passionate, curious about the world. She seemed to get him in a way most people didn't. For years, they built a life. Together, it seemed. He gave, he stayed, he loved fully, he trusted deeply. Then one day, he finds messages, quiet betrayals, signals that, for a long time, she had been somewhere else emotionally, maybe even physically. He asks her why all the lies, why the deception? And she just looks at him, tilts her head slightly, and says with a flat voice, "You took it too seriously." Everything drops in that moment. Not just love, not just trust, but something more fundamental, belief. He realizes this wasn't just a personal betrayal. It was the collapse of the story, the blueprint, the entire system he thought he could count on. And he's not alone. This is not rare. This is not the exception. This is happening again and again to men everywhere. It just doesn't get spoken about. Most men are never warned. They are told to be good, but not how to be wise. They are told to be strong, but not how to protect their hearts. They're sent into the wild with nothing but slogans and hallmark dreams, thinking love is fair and feelings are permanent. But in reality, relationships today are often more about power than about connection, more about emotional drama than stability. And the rules you're playing by? They're outdated. Worse, they were written against you. Modern dating isn't about finding someone to grow with. It's about excitement, attention, and status. Desire, especially female desire, isn't a straight line. It's a swinging door between two instincts, the need for safety and the hunger for thrill. When a man provides one, but not the other, he's often discarded. Not for being bad, but for no longer being enough. You've seen it. You may have even lived it. The good man who gets left for the guy who causes chaos. The loyal boyfriend turned into an emotional support dog. The husband traded in midlife for someone new. And each time, the world shrugs and says he must have done something wrong. He got boring. He didn't keep her attention. But maybe that's the lie. Maybe attention was never meant to be held forever. Maybe the modern system isn't failing. Maybe it's working exactly as designed, just not in your favor. And here's where things get even more uncomfortable. Many women aren't chasing love the way men do. They're chasing effect. They're seeking how a man makes them feel in the moment. Not who he is, but what kind of emotional reaction he creates. And once that feeling fades, it doesn't matter what he's done, what he's given, what he's sacrificed. He becomes replaceable. It's not always malicious. It's instinct, biology, psychology. It's reinforced by a culture that celebrates novelty and rewards short attention spans. And if you think this is all just angry talk, look at the data. Look at dating apps, where 80% of women swipe right on only 10 to 20% of men. Look at divorce rates, at how often the initiator is the woman. Look at how men who give everything can still be discarded without a second thought. This isn't to say women are evil. They're not. But they're human, driven by complex forces, just like men. The real problem isn't women. It's the illusion. It's the lie that love will reward you for playing by rules that were never real in the first place. So what do most men do when they see this? Many fall into despair. They give up. Others swing the opposite way and burn with resentment. But neither path leads to peace. Because the answer isn't surrender, and it's not hatred. The answer is clarity. There's another way to live, and men like Diogenes showed it long ago. He didn't crawl through life begging for validation. He laughed at the world's fake values. He stripped away everything unnecessary and chose freedom. And you can too. You don't need to live in a barrel, but you need to stop needing so much from people who can't give it. Stop relying on attention, affection, or approval to feel complete. Learn to be solid by yourself, not cold, not bitter, but full. Strong, silent in your confidence, immune to chaos. Most men today are hooked on validation. They bend and twist and perform just to get noticed. They mistake attention for love. They think affection means permanence. And when it goes away, they break. But the man who detaches from that, he becomes different, powerful, even. Not because he's cruel, but because he's free. A woman might test him, ignore him, try to provoke him. And he won't react, not out of pride, but out of understanding. He doesn't need her approval to know who he is. And that changes everything. Here's something women won't tell you, but often feel the second they sense you care too much, they lose a bit of respect. Not because they want to, because it's in their nature to test strength, emotional strength. And when you show desperation, when you show dependence, they feel it and pull away. The men who last in a woman's world are the ones who can walk away. The ones who don't flinch when threatened with silence or absence. The ones who smile when drama appears, who stay calm when others beg. Because in truth, most of the relationship games, the moves, the cold shoulders, the subtle punishments are all part of a script. And if you stop reacting to the script, the play loses its power. The audience walks out. You take control. That doesn't mean manipulating others. It means not being manipulated yourself. It means remembering that you are not a pet. You are not a servant. You are not a fixer. You are a man, a being of action, of reason, of fire. You are not here to be picked and praised. You are here to build, to move, to be. If you want something, pursue it. If it no longer serves you, leave. Stop apologizing for being decisive. Stop explaining your worth. The world doesn't hand respect to those who beg. It gives it to those who claim it. And when it comes to women, remember this. Seeing them clearly is not hatred. It's maturity. It's understanding that they are human, beautiful, flawed, emotional, intelligent, sometimes dangerous, but not gods, not saviors, not prizes. When you stop chasing them, when you stop needing their attention to feel alive, something wild happens. You become the man they notice. You become the man they wonder about. You become rare. But here's the twist. By then, you won't care as much. Because you'll have built something better. Yourself. That is the quiet power most men never reach. Because they're too busy trying to be everything for everyone, hoping that love will save them. But love doesn't save a man. Truth does. Fire does. Discipline does. So let the old dream die. Let it burn. Let the pain of betrayal shape you, not destroy you. Let the silence be your teacher. Let the truth, hard and cold as it may be, guide you out of the fog. And when you walk out, don't look back. Don't explain. Just smile. Because you're not just surviving anymore. You're free. The moment you stop expecting life to be fair, something inside you shifts. You stop playing by someone else's rules and begin to live on your own terms. That moment is just the beginning. What comes next is harder, deeper, and more honest than anything you faced before. Because now, you must go into the darkness, into the part of you that still hurts, still hopes, still believes in old lies. You have to look at the pain you carry as a man, the shame, the betrayal, the silent questions you've never said out loud. This is where transformation begins, not with understanding the world, but with finally facing yourself. Think about it. What will you do with the power that comes from no longer waiting for the world to give you what it never will? Will you let your pain eat you alive, turning you bitter and angry? Or will you step into the light, not as someone begging for peace, but as someone ready to claim it? This isn't about pretending everything's okay. It's about standing in the truth of what you've been through and choosing not to be ruled by it anymore. Most men know the rules of the game. They see how the world works. They learn how to move through it without getting crushed. But deep down, many still carry one last weight, one final poison. And it's not the people who hurt you. It's not society. It's not even the woman who broke your heart. The last chain is the story you still believe about yourself. That story that says, if she had loved me, I would have been enough. The one that whispers, if only she had realized what I was worth. That voice is the most dangerous thing in your life. Because as long as your value depends on her regret, her apology, her realization, you're still locked in the same cage. You may look free, but she still holds the key. You need to understand something deeper now. Look at Diogenes, the ancient Greek philosopher. He was captured by pirates, sold as a slave. When asked what he was good at, he didn't hesitate. He said, governing men. Even in chains, he knew who he was. No one could take that from him. That's the kind of unshakable confidence you need. Because the truth is, this was never really about her. It's not about proving her wrong or making her see what she lost. That's just your pain talking. The applause of strangers, the tears of an ex, the success you try to chase, they can't fill that hole inside you. And here's the hardest truth. The real betrayal wasn't hers. It was yours. You betrayed yourself the day you let someone else decide your worth. There comes a time in every man's life when he stands at a crossroads. On one side is the warm, familiar path of resentment. It feels comforting at first because it's known. You get to keep blaming. You get to stay angry. But it slowly kills you from the inside. On the other side is the path of freedom, terrifying, cold, uncertain. This is the path of complete self-responsibility. And most men never take it. Instead, they trade one addiction for another. They stop chasing love and start chasing pain. They become addicted to their own sadness. They turn their pain into an identity. They speak the truth, but live a lie. They talk about growth, but never actually let go. They become men who worship their wounds. But here's something you must understand. Knowing the truth isn't the same as living it. You can know everything about how women work, how society works, how manipulation works, and still be completely controlled by your own emotions. Real power doesn't come from knowledge. It comes from rising above the need to prove anything. It comes from not needing the game at all. Pain is not something to avoid. You must walk through it, not around it, not over it, straight through. Only when you do this will you reach the other side. And on that other side, you won't find happiness, not at first. what you'll find is something quieter, deeper: peace. Not peace because you gave up, but peace because you stopped running, because you finally faced the part of yourself you were afraid to see. Now ask yourself, when everything else is gone, your relationships, your status, even your beliefs, what's left? What survives after the fire? What's still standing when the world falls apart? There's only one thing: your will, the deep inner force that refuses to break. Not the kind of will that's desperate and begging for fairness, but the kind of will that rises even when there's nothing left to hope for. That quiet, unbreakable force inside you that cannot be taken. Look closely at the world around you. Every part of the system, love, politics, money, entertainment, is trying to take something from you. Your attention, your energy, your time. Women often pull it through desire. Companies pull it through endless consumption. Weak people pull it through guilt and pity. And if you're not paying attention, you'll spend your whole life giving away your power in tiny, silent ways. But once you see this, once you really understand how the machine works, you have a choice. You can keep feeding it. You can keep giving away your life, one moment at a time. Or you can stop. You can become something the system can't control. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to be invincible. To be unkillable, you only have to be one thing: untouchable. Not physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. An unkillable man cannot be bribed with sex. He cannot be threatened with loneliness. He cannot be manipulated with shame. He's not immune to pain. He just doesn't let it rule him. He is free, not because someone gave him freedom, but because he claimed it for himself. There will be days when the old voices come back, when the past calls you with its lies, when you remember the comfort of your chains. On those days, you will be tempted to go back, to return to the familiar cage. But you must not. You were not born to be understood. You were not born to be liked by everyone. You were not even born to be loved. You were born to burn, to carry a fire that can never be put out. And when that fire inside you grows stronger than the fear of being alone, fear of being laughed at, fear of being invisible, that's the day everything changes. That's the day you realize you were never broken. You were never the victim. You were never meant to live on your knees. Because underneath all that pain, under the betrayal, the loss, the heartbreak, was something fierce, something ancient, something wild. You were the dragon all along.